Hi, and welcome back to the Mark Workman Show and the Pioneer Mind podcast, where we try to explore the idea of really stepping out into things that you don't necessarily want to go do. I really believe the culture's changed so much that I just see a lot of young people that are just super stuck and can't get out of the systems that have tried to kind of control them and put them in a box. And I really want to encourage people to step out of those things, create things and do new things, read books, learn an instrument, whatever it is, start a business. Really that's one of my real goals is entrepreneurship and teaching people to really step out, take risks. And really that's what a pioneer does. Pioneer as a term literally is a French term that means to prepare a way. So the pioneers were preparing a way forward that we could have never even proceeded, even thought about this country and where we've ended up. The pioneers that headed across the West is kind of how we see a pioneer is an old term. But the truth of it is that a pioneer starts every story. And that's in business as well. People get ideas in their basement, in their garage, that kind of thing. And they start doing things in a way to try to create something new and really don't know the end result. They're really taking risks that no one else is willing to take. So it's really what the goal of the podcast is. And one of the quotes I like to use is by C.S. Lewis: "When the whole world is running towards a cliff, he who is running in the opposite direction appears to have lost his mind." And kind of the real truth of it is that really is true. If you go against the herd, in the system, you are really thought of like you're nuts, and it's crazy to even believe that. But I know for the fact that what I had to learn in my early career is that I realized if the herd is going that direction, I literally would look over my shoulder and realize the other way was probably the best way for me. So it really is the opposite of the narrative of the world is to join the system and join the herd and follow the direction. But anytime we're stepping out, our family, our community, church, whatever, will question you and really make you feel like you're making a mistake when really you're probably on the right track. So that's what the podcast is about. I'm going to keep promoting that. I wish you'd subscribe and like. It's free to you. It helps the show. And again, we're going to just keep growing this message of people creating in a positive way and moving out of that stuck spot that I see so many people when I talk to them. They're just literally, the best word to describe them is they're stuck. They don't know how to make a decision and do the next thing. And it's really the system that's kind of locked them in. So the goal is to really kind of get people out of that stuck mode. So again, subscribe and like, it really helps the show. Well, today we got a great guest. It's pretty close to home for me. It'll be my son, Jacob, and I'm just so glad he's here. We're going to have a discussion. It's going to be a wide open discussion about anything. Where I want to start is, as Jacob and I talk about it quite a bit in terms of growing up in Fairfield, and again, Dylan, and when he did a podcast with me too, he talked about it openly. I think you probably watched that one, is just how much that shaped kind of who you guys are today, not just parenting or where we lived out there in Fort Shaw in terms of the property and all those kind of things, but the whole environment you guys were in was pretty amazing.
Yeah, the trauma.
Yeah, the trauma. You think it's trauma. Dylan didn't think that. So,
yeah.
But like I could leave a football game, and I always thought this was an example, is that I could leave a football game and you guys would be playing off in the dark somewhere I couldn't even see you.
They're playing the other town.
Whatever.
They're little kids and destroying them.
Sure.
We're the best.
Yeah, we're the best. And I could holler up to somebody, "Hey, I'm heading home, grab the boys," and they would drop you off or something. I knew it was that safe.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain to people. And then you guys were leaving in the morning with basically bombs in a suitcase, firecrackers, and, torturing gophers and swimming in ditches.
Yeah, homemade fireworks. So
Yeah.
they could blow gophers up.
Right. So, just to set that up, again, I don't think that's a small thing, how people play, how they grow up, how your youth goes, and what do we see today? Everyone's locked in front of a computer. They're doing nothing. And again, maybe talk about that, because I always say you had the last best childhood. That's the way I describe it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, like, if you look at the studies on that too, kids learn the best when they have what they call free play, when there's not adults around. Well, we don't live in a world like that. Like there's things that I did in my childhood that I look at my wife and I go, we're not doing that.
Right.
I'm not letting my 12-year-old walk to town by himself to go to the grocery store by himself,
Right.
you know?
So what
Eh,
changed?
our perception of the world probably, and then our access to information. I think all of us having the Library of Alexandria in our
Yeah.
hands
Yeah.
and seeing every bad thing that happens in the world, we go, "Oh, that could happen to me."
Right.
And so, naturally, as human beings, we clam up and protect what's ours, and that, I think, ultimately stops our children from being able to.
We gotta stop.
So, yeah, that's yeah, ultimately, I think the freedom that we allowed our children were like is trust as parents kinda went out the window because we have access to all the bad things that happen in the world all the time, instantly in your hand. And I think ignorance is kinda bliss in that or was bliss in that. And now we know things, and it makes it hard as a parent to, kinda let your kids go do that. Take a suitcase full of fireworks and go kill gophers.
Mhm.
You're constantly worrying about them.
Right. Well, and again, Fairfield, I always think of the example where, we all know, not to bring up Dylan, but I remember him having a fear of getting on the bus. And Mrs. Eustace, the kindergarten teacher, came out to the house, parked her car in our driveway, and would ride the bus with him.
Yeah,
What school does that?
yeah. No,
Where does that exist?
that no longer exists.
It doesn't exist. And again, it's the subtle little things that it seemed to happen in that community that were pretty powerful. But talk about the idea of the freedom you had. You guys had freedom. And mom and I were part of that too. We weren't hovers.
Yeah.
We weren't definitely, though, we wanted you guys to make decisions as early as possible about everything, clothing, money, everything, turning your life over to you,
Yeah.
even at 11, 12.
Frustratingly so,
Yeah.
where I was like, "Hey, dude, can you just give me money like the other parents?
Right.
Why do I have to work for this? This is stupid.
Right.
I want a Gatorade and a pretzel at the concession stand.
Sure.
Give
No,
me."
and I get it,
Yeah.
and again, I probably was a little
It's
difficult on that, but at the same time, I think it's the right way. I do
yeah.
believe in it.
Well, as a parent now I'm like, "Oh, I do the same thing." I'm like,
Yeah, but you and I were talking last night about the idea of less is more. I feel like the more we give to especially children in our home, the worse it kinda gets. Where if you had them, "Well, I wanna get this and that." Well, what can you do to earn that money to get that thing, right? It's that simple, right?
yeah.
But you still had a lot of freedom in my way. I think you guys had a ton of freedom, and I think freedom was the core thing that was a part of your childhood, in my view.
Yeah. You started the podcast with what was it's kind of the last great childhood, like, before all of it, because so I was born in 1990, and then so I got in high school with the internet, and then but it was different than it is now. It wasn't connected to every aspect of your life, and I do think that it's kind of a weird bridging of the ages, I guess, of childhood. So to come into and kind of be on the tail end of that, and then whatever this new thing is, like school is not what it used to be. Like that, like you said, Mrs. Houston's, like they don't have that. Um, to my knowledge, like it's just completely different experience. And then the hard part as a parent is knowing because you don't want your kids to suffer, but you also recognize, hey, well, what made me better as a human being is struggle because you can't grow without some sort of struggle or suffering, really. You stay the same, you stay stagnant, and we're very, very comfortable in America. We don't. That's ultimately what causes a lot of these issues around us. Is all of us are afraid to say or do anything that gets us out of our comfort level, and I think comfort kills. And as a parent, it's hard with my sons, and then my little girl. It's easier for me to be soft with her than my sons, but um, I do think there's a balance there where you want them to have good lives, but you also want to try to foster some form of struggle in a healthy way, without being cruel. And that's a hard balance.
Yeah, I always believed in no is the answer to every question until I say yes, as a dad. I used to tell mom that. No. No, we're not doing it. No, no. And then when I said yes, you guys would like pop up and go, wow, he said yes to something.
Mhm.
And I think to some degree that sounds absolutely counterintuitive, but I think it creates the right environment for kids to kind of flourish and start thinking for themselves to solve problems or whatever, right? And And,
Or to assassinate the parents when they're sleeping.
sure,
Yeah,
you've tried that,
yeah.
but you tried to kill me. I can think of 3 examples where I think you literally were trying to get
It
me.
was a light maiming,
Yeah,
a light maiming is all.
light maiming.
Yeah,
I still have the scar in the center of my head.
yeah.
There's an indentation right.
Cabinet's never been the same.
No. But it's pretty funny, but, and again, we were probably a little different, and mom's a big part of that too, huge part of that. She definitely wants freedom for you guys
Mhm.
and knew that. We knew that up front. We talked about it all the time. We're not
Mom probably pushes the limits
big time.
a lot more than she should. Like, one thing as a parent, when I was, my sons are just learning how to walk. I love mom, but I was a little nervous to let her take him to the park by herself
Sure.
because I'm like, she's like, "Oh, they're going down the slide by themselves," and I'm like, "They learned to walk last week.
Yeah, they want
Let's."
she let him walk across a bridge over a stream.
Yeah, they were jumping across the alligator pit. It was great.
Yeah.
Like, mom, no.
No, and she grew up that way too,
Yeah,
though, and that she doesn't think anything of
well,
it.
she tells stories about how she used to. Grandma would just send her down with a screwdriver, and they'd pull pieces of quartz out of the road by
Yeah,
the highway.
yeah,
No.
yeah,
Like, as a parent, like, that, no. Like, right next to a speeding highway, you're on the edge and you're pulling pieces of quartz out of the asphalt.
right,
Like, let's not do that,
right.
you know?
Mom and I took a bike ride one time down in Sula area and on a bike ride she used to do all the time, and it was a logging road, and we had logging trucks blowing by us at 50 mile an hour on basically a dirt road, and it was single lane. And she says, "I did this every day. I can't even believe I would let my kids do this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she definitely has that in her, so it's pretty interesting. You have the comment as a parent, you tell me that you're gonna raise kids, you want savages with self-control.
Yeah.
So explain savages with self-control.
So say you have a situation, where something comes up and, like, you're gonna like, "Hey, I need you guys," like, "Hey, boys, we're getting out of the car. We're all getting a fight and protect." The what if moment. We all have that. We're all daydreaming. Well, if this happened, I would do this. It's the but if moment that every man has. I wouldn't hurt anybody, but if, right? And so what you wanna do is you wanna be able to you wanna have them be competent with self-control, because you can have them be competent and have them lose self-control. But in that moment, if you've just been teaching them self-control and you've never taught them competence, you've never taught them how to be tough, how to fight. In those moments, if you ever did, you're doomed because they're not competent. They can't do it. So all that self-control you're teaching them, that removing the testosterone from them, essentially making them soft and modern men,
Yeah,
it does them a disservice because they're not capable. Where if they're capable and they have self-control, that's honestly, I think, the mark of a good man. I don't think there's any virtue in being a gentle man if you have no capacity for violence.
right.
Like if you have no capacity to do the bad version of that, there's no virtue in controlling that because you don't have that issue. So I think as a man, it's important to be competent and then teach him self-control.
Yeah, self-control is like, someone's getting angry in your face, a road rage incident per se. I've had a couple of those where people are just going off. I even shared with one you the other day, and I'm just like staring at them, and I'm sure what I did. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But if I wasn't sitting there thinking, okay, this could get bad, I'm not thinking about what I'm thinking. I could be in a bad situation really quickly,
1,000%.
right? All of us could be.
Oh yeah.
We're all capable of that, of biting on on that apple and kind of getting ticked off and getting involved in something you shouldn't.
Oh yeah.
Right.
1,000%.
Right. But there is times to defend. And again, I see that with a lot of the young men that I talk to, especially here around my office. I have guys in the shop that I visit with quite a bit. And I shared with earlier in the podcast that they're working here all day at this place that I office at and then delivering pizzas at night. And I mean, they're working hard,
Yeah.
and it's just such a challenging thing. And they feel, and that's that word stuck. Has there ever been a point where you felt stuck, where you're like, "I am stuck. I gotta make a move," and then how did you get out of it?
Oh, I've gotten stuck a bunch of times with different things, and some of those were personal issues about kind of my worldview. That honestly, I've been very very fortunate um, to be able to kind of outwork a lot of my financial problems. I'm not everybody can do it. I've been very fortunate to have opportunities, that I've been able to if I've gotten stuck financially, I was able to kind of wiggle my way out of that and try to get out of that, and not everybody has that opportunity, so I've been fortunate. I would say probably my bigger stuck moments have been, kind of my thought process. One would be, when I left, because 'cause I'd kinda designed my life around football.
Sure.
Started, junior high, high school, and that was very much your identity. Like, you won football games in town, you go to the coffee crew at the gas station, they're buying you Powerades, like, in the morning. Like,
Right.
the town took care of you, and you were kind of a celebrity in high school because we were good. And then I went to college,
And you're nothing.
and you're nothing again.
That's what I always tell people. You're gonna be nothing soon.
And so where the stuck part was, so my sophomore year of college. So my freshman year of college, I wasted, really. I was like, I have $4,000 in the bank, dude. I got so much money. And then I'm gonna have beer every night, and my school's easy. It's cake because it was my gen eds. It was, I didn't have to study. I didn't have to do anything. And I was not expected to play because I was a redshirt for the football team. And so there was no expectations on me whatsoever. I could just party and do what I wanted. And then sophomore year hit, and I accidentally switched to electrical engineering because I thought my uncle was electrical engineer. And I told him, and he goes, "You idiot, I'm mechanical." Right. Well, it's too late for me to switch. And my teachers were sick of me. So they're like, "You're staying in electrical, figure it out or get out." And I think I failed all 18 credits that semester.
Yeah.
And because I'd never had to work hard I didn't realize in high school and all that, I never had to study for anything.
Well, the truth of it is,
And
and this is gonna be taken as a negative, by any educator out there, but the truth of it is high school is, I feel like as a coach when I was in there, not on task much, and I don't know if it is deeply pushing hard enough at the high school level to prepare for electrical engineering kind of back thing.
no, no, it's a farming community. And
Yeah,
so like your FFA, like that was a big club,
big deal. Yep.
like shop class, our shop at the school is half the school square footage. Like it's huge.
That's true.
And so is just different. And so growing up, because you're not a farmer,
Nope.
just having a completely different, like I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Right.
Like 2008 hit, stock market crash. And I
Yeah.
remember you looking at me and I was like, well, I can go play football for Carroll College. And you're like, no, you're not, for 36 grand a year,
Yeah.
pal.
Yeah.
And I was okay. All right. I'm going to go be an engineer. They make money. Right. So it was all kind of by accident. And so back to my story. So my sophomore year, when I failed all 18 of those credits, I was also like, we got a new football coach, Bob Green. Chuck Morrell came in, and I was sixth string. I was sixth on the depth chart, and there was like four guys in front of me. I'm like, I'm better than all them. This is and they wanted to get rid. They were like,
You just didn't have the name.
well, that, and also in fairness to them, I didn't do anything my freshman year to stand out either. I
Oh,
didn't.
oh,
I did the bare minimum. I showed. I was dependable. I showed up to everything on time, and that was about the best you could say about me.
right. I got
Right.
you.
And so, it came down to it, and I hated, so we did winter ball, which is just conditioning, and where they're trying to make you quit. And so we went from 130 players to 84 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
They made it brutal. And so stuck it out. And then at spring ball, I remember, like, it was the first week, I was sixth string, and they didn't give me any reps. And I was like, I'm doing all this work for nothing. And they're trying to get me to quit. And then the second week went through, and I just tapped Lance Spencer, is his name, ex-Grizzly guy. He was our coach. I tapped him. I said, put me in. And he goes, I said, no, put me in. Just one. Just put me in. So he put me in, and I had the best play of my life. And I came out the corner, and I destroyed Nick Baker, the
Yeah.
quarterback, the starting quarterback. He's in the red jersey. It says, do not hit.
Right.
Like in big letters, do not hit. And I speared him in the back.
Oh, wow.
So choked me around, grabbed him in the face, and he drugged me off the field and, yelled all sorts of curse words at me. And I was happy as a clam. I'm like, I got it. Sweet. And the next day I had 2 reps. Next day I had 4. And then a week later I got the starting spot, and I started for 4 years.
Yeah,
So,
you had a great run.
yeah.
Is real, and I'm thankful for Montana Tech as a school. I've told you that many times how I really felt like, I know it's got a reputation for certain things, drinking and that kind of
Well,
stuff.
there's no girls.
There's no
So
girls.
what do?
You drink.
You drink with your boys.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's a good
But
thing.
I would still say I just was so impressed with the school and the staff, and I mean,
Yeah, they did a great job.
I went to a football game last year, still knew my name. "Hi, Mr. Workman," coming up,
Yeah,
I was blown away. You were there,
yeah.
and we were just like I'm just like, "That's crazy."
I think that the Montana Tech, it's kind of, absorbed a lot of personality of Butte itself,
Sure.
where it's a tough place to live, but once you're one of us, like, it's us against everybody.
I
They literally have shirts that say Butte versus everybody.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
Everyone wears them.
Huh,
Like, it's us versus everybody,
right.
and that's how they view it. Like, "Hey, we know we're a tougher town, but we're just gonna be tougher than you, and we're gonna take care of our own."
So how has football shaped you? You know what I mean, in terms of well, you know what I mean, in terms of just you're actually quite entrepreneurial. You're, very successful at your work, I always believe pursue excellence in something. I used to get irritated when they'd say when I was coaching basketball, I was assistant. I wasn't really a coach. I was a rah-rah coach. I was trying to keep people doing their closeouts and rebounding. I was trying to keep them on the small things. But a coach is able to transfer information about a skill through verbally and training to another person that they can actually begin that muscle memory and get it in their brain.
Mm,
Coaches are able to do that. And then during games, they're making decisions that most people can't even see the time left, number of quarters, how many quarters that player got. I mean, they have everything already in their brain all the time.
yeah,
Head coaches are amazing.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. And, but I look back at, football as you were pursuing excellence in something. And I think that pursuing excellence in anything, if you want to be a good trombone player and you're spending 2 hours a day, no one had trouble with that. Right. But I remember coaching, you guys too serious about your basketball. These kids want to be good at this.
Yeah,
You want to be good at football.
yeah.
And I believe anyone who's pursuing excellence in anything, it shows up the rest of their life.
Well, like, it started when you were coaching that older group, so I was in elementary school,
Yeah.
and that kinda set the foundation for a small town. They didn't ask us they didn't tell us we were too serious about basketball. It's only when you're trying to change the status quo, they
Yeah.
tell you, "Hey, you're doing it wrong."
Right.
The status quo when we got in was, "We're going to win the
Right.
state championship this year. That's the goal, and if we don't, it's a failure. Like, you're a loser."
It got that way.
It got that way,
Yeah.
and so I think only when you're trying to change the status quo or, be a pioneer, change, be a pioneer, whatever. You want to change something is when people poo poo your idea or whatever. Like in college, because I'm only 6 foot, you know how many times I had
Mm.
people from our small town tell me I'm too small? It wasn't anyone at college that was telling me I was too small,
Right.
right? I had people in the media, at the news organizations and be telling me I was too small. How do you do it at your size?
Right.
And I was like, not that small.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Well, I
But
I always said it was a benefit to you because, I could see that you were able to, approach you had an amazing first step. We've talked about that many times about how many times, like, you've told a story about a guy that was, snapping the ball, and he snapped the ball, and he looked up, and you weren't there.
yeah,
That was his
yeah,
line,
yeah,
right?
I knew I was in trouble when I snapped the ball and I looked up and you weren't there.
Yeah, so
So,
you have that speed off the first few steps to get to places, and but I do think, like, I'm thinking of a game that there was a tight end or whoever he was that you kept getting under him and he straightening him out every play. Like, it was hilarious. Like,
yeah, I don't remember.
I wanna say it was, the billing school,
Rocky?
yeah, and you could just see you were just he's 6'6" or something,
Yeah,
and that's the prototype, right?
yeah,
And you were just getting under him, and you were so strong, you were just shoving his chin to the roof.
yeah.
And it was an advantage to some degree.
Yeah, yeah, and like, yeah, there's time. Yeah, it was kinda nice, to
Yeah,
be honest with you. So I never felt small. I never felt like I was getting bullied or anything, but, like, it was surprising just even coming out of high school. "Oh, you're gonna play college football. You're a little small for that, aren't you?"
right.
And, like, it always bothered me.
Yeah, but, like, I'm as a dad, I've even prayed and thanked God for the idea that there's other men involved in my children's life helping them to pursue excellence and
Mhm,
be good at something.
mhm.
You had great coaches,
I did all the way through.
Meyer, Brown, Rogers, all of them. Anyone who helped out, all those kind of things. Those were huge things coming from that community that again, I want you to have a great education. I want you to be smart. I want you to have a worldview, thinking about,
But I'm not remembering what I did in English composition class.
yeah,
Like,
but
I remember like, what I learned. Like, I'm not saying sports with everything, but in high school, for me, those a lot of my big lessons came from athletics,
what would be the biggest lesson you learned from one of your coaches?
from one of my coaches.
Yeah, that you just remember he said, "Don't do this." Meyer always said, "Don't drink soda." You know, I
Uh,
mean,
uh, uh,
but
oh,
there's a million things.
the big thing was consistency. If you only put effort in every now and again, you're worthless. Like,
Right,
you're not gonna be successful because there's gonna be someone that's gonna do it every time, and they're gonna catch you. So
right,
if you take plays off, you're going to lose.
right.
And that was kind of an interesting transition into life too. It's like, if you yeah, like, okay, we all have, like, what I mean by take days off, like, we all need, like, a rest day just to,
Mm,
like, hang out at the house. That's what weekends are for. Spend time with your family. But whenever I truly believe that if you are not moving the ball forward
mhm.
in life, in anything, like the guys here, they're working their butts
They
off,
are.
and then they're working at pizzas, they're moving the ball forward. What happens to them if they're like, "You know what? I'm not ever gonna look for any other opportunities. I'm just gonna do this the rest of my life." Do we view that like a good thing?
Mhm,
No. Stagnation is degradation. And, that's kind of a lot of what we were kinda talking about, like, the culture change and everything is we've stagnated, and now we're trying to keep preserve there's half of us that are trying to preserve things, and then half of us that are trying to really change things, and you don't know what the answer to that is, and you just get degradation because we're locked together.
yeah.
So,
And I, I when I came up with this idea to do a podcast, I'm really doing marketing for my 2 businesses and my product lines and stuff. So
shameless plug, yeah.
I am gonna do it. So that's on there. But it's the idea that I realized that I was farming out a lot of my marketing to third-party companies that don't care about me at all.
No.
So I have my oil field guys on here, dynamic drilling fluids, geo drilling fluids, all these companies that I work with, and I do podcasts with them to promote their business. So I don't actually hardly mention my business, but I have the marketing behind me. I do mention RMI Supply, supplies the oil field and different drilling rigs. I do a little bit of a ad, just really briefly, but it's all about them. What are you guys doing? What's your new innovation? What's the new technology coming down the pike? You guys are, because they're always developing something new to make something better.
Mhm.
Innovation is making something better. That's
Yeah.
not necessarily being a pioneer.
Yeah.
Pioneers go into complete unknowns.
Yeah.
Oilfield knows a lot, but they are innovating. They are creating new, better ways to do some things, safer ways, cleaner ways, and they're always working on it. I mean, they spend millions on that.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I think the pioneer mindset is uniquely American concept.
I think you're right.
And the reason I say that is because as an American culture, excuse me, we're risk takers. Risk is rewarded. Risk is looked at like a good thing. You go to Norway, if you step out, like, because there's more of a collective culture, like, hey, you don't do anything that upsets anybody. Don't change the status quo. We like it the way it is. Keep it here. This is the way we want life. In America, you're rewarded for taking risks,
But
and
but that's what I
we
think the
like that.
change is. I think that's the change that's occurring last 30 years. People don't like it. The culture is like they're not they're saying they want that, but as soon as you do it, you're the outsider.
Yeah, no, no, it's uncomfortable, and so then you have it's an uncomfortable thing to take a risk, and people like when I said earlier, comfort kills. That's a big thing. We've gotten very comfortable. We have life is good, and so the idea of taking a risk on something and not working out is more terrifying than just doing doing the thing we hate to do, but just keep doing that.
Yeah, there's a book out there called The Comfort Crisis. I know I've suggested it to you. Maybe you probably haven't. I don't know if you've read it, but it's one that mom and I worked through, last year, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. But The Comfort Crisis, just as a recommendation to anyone wanting to read a good book, you will be challenged directly about what you think is hard,
Yeah,
you know. And you probably remember my long 30-year statement of hard things aren't bad, they're just
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
We want to judge every circumstance in our life. This is so hard. This is making it so bad. No, hard things aren't bad. They're just hard.
Mhm.
So get going.
Yeah, and on the outside of those things, when you do have people in your life that are going through something hard, you need to understand that, like, hey, the worst thing that's ever happened to somebody is the worst thing that's ever happened to somebody. So, like, their litmus, it's all relative. Like, you have the person that, you know, their parents passed away when they're little, their
Terrible.
dog ran away, their house burnt down.
Whatever,
They're gonna
yeah.
have a different perspective on what a bad day is
Right,
than someone that hasn't had anything close to that experience.
right.
And so as a parent, back to the parenting thing, how do you obviously I don't wanna die and my house burned down, my dog's run away from my kids to be tough and take
No,
risks.
I agree.
So how do you foster that in today's comfort culture? And that's difficult.
And that goes back to what I said, you need to say no often as a parent.
Mhm.
"No, no, can I have a no, no," and when you say yes, you really mean it,
Yeah.
and create those environments where yes is a blessing for them. I used to tell you guys we'd be doing the, whitewater rafting. You probably don't remember these things, but I used to always make sure to tell you, "Isn't it a blessing that we're on whitewater rafting on Tuesday afternoon at 2 and I'm still making a living, like entrepreneurship. I really believe in it 100%. I'll never we need more people starting businesses, being
Fish
creative.
fishing for a compliment a little hard there, aren't you?
No, I'm not at all. But I used to say that to you guys all the time because I wanted to teach you that
Yeah. This is not normal.
freedom is the highest goal.
Mhm.
Money is worthless. I've said that to you 1,000 times. Chasing dollars, you will fail. Chase freedom and you will be successful
Mhm.
because freedom is powerful. It gives you freedom in your mind and your thinking and clarity that you can't get anywhere else. And there's no worse thing in the world to wake in the morning and know you got to go to a job you hate
Mhm.
because you're in bondage.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
And the way the world's different now is so kind of a younger perspective on it, because I agree with what you're saying. Freedom is what's important, not the money. But with the money comes a sense of freedom. If you were in if you're just barely making it and you're like, I have to deliver pizzas tonight after working all day just to pay the bills, you don't feel very free. That's not freedom, and that's what a lot of young people are looking down the barrel of right now. And then so you're gonna see anarchy, and that's why you see these crazy political things come through where they're like, "Communism's good." It's like, "No, it's not." But where people don't feel they're like, "We don't feel free. Nothing feels free. We're in bondage to the system that's been created to
Yeah,
harvest our finances."
I don't wanna get political, and I'm not
I
when I
don't either. Sorry, I get
No,
the
no, you're not. You're totally fine. But what you're saying about this generation following, like, I'm an X, and, we're I was talking to you about this, we're what's called the tweeners. We don't join things. We're entrepreneurial. We're not gonna take BS. We don't we're not believing everything we see. The X people are probably beginning of that, but we also stay to ourselves, keep pretty private. And, we're not going to be declaring from the rooftops our views on anything. That's what an X is. But the boomers ahead of us have a whole different view of things. And then your generation, your millennials and the Gen Zs, they're doing the calculus. They're saying, this is about the money side you're talking about. They're doing the calculus. I went to college and now AI is taking my job. I went to this and this is stealing. And now it costs me. I was able to pay I made a lot of money as a high schooler to go to college and stuff, and it was fairly affordable. Had help, had some on my own, that kind of thing, and was able to do it. Now it's astronomical numbers to go get training in something most likely you can't get a job, right?
yeah.
So that's why I'm saying start a business. Take that 50,000 a year and plug it into some resources and go get some training, get a job with someone to learn a skill, electrical, whatever, get some training and then start your own business.
Mhm.
I really believe in that. I think we should be doing more training that way than always pushing the college thing. And that's is for some people, doctors, engineers, you got to
Yeah,
have that training.
yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. That I think it's hard for yeah, the young people, they look and they go, "What should I do?"
Right. They're stuck.
Well, yeah, if they're stuck in a big way.
I believe it.
I've been very, very fortunate to have some opportunities where I was able to kinda get not stuck, but I'm still in it. If I missed a paycheck, I'm gonna be
Yeah, you don't
no
know it.
nothing's more addicting than a biweekly paycheck, because the second it's late, you're
Right.
where is it? Where is it? I need it.
Yeah,
And that's a
and
hard thing to swallow.
it is, and I always say a job is just over broke. I don't care what you're getting paid. and well, I make really good. Well, you're still probably just over broke, just so you know. And I probably have some totally different perspectives than a lot of people on terms of those kind of things because I'm so driven to be kind of left alone, freedom. I want to create something. I want to solve problems for people that are away from me. My whole business model has been so I can work alone.
Yeah.
And you know this that I do everything that way, but I'm still connected with thousands of people across the country and the world. But I'm still able to solve problems and get involved with projects or whatever I'm doing without having someone sitting right next to me,
Mhm.
which I could never take.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just don't know why I'm that way.
Yeah.
But it really isn't. The money thing nowadays is real
It's
because
real.
it's hitting families, and it breaks my heart to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And I guess I believe entrepreneurship's the answer. I don't think a job is, but especially in our area in Montana, a lot of things are wages. It's just wages you're working for. It's really challenging.
Yeah, it's tough because so you have the boomer generation, which is now sitting on $80 trillion worth of assets, and then the next largest generation is the millennials, and we have $20 trillion in assets. That's
What happened to X?
you guys don't matter. You don't say anything, you cowards.
No, we are a little bit. When you read about the generation, we're silent.
Yeah. Well, the millennials do all the talking, and then the generation below us glue their hands to the road. So we're progressing. So,
Yeah.
but besides the point, sorry for dipping into that, but
No, it's okay. It's a good subject because I think it's part of the degradation thing or the challenging thing. I think for entrepreneurs and creating things, pioneer mind, that some of that stuck thing is real.
mm,
It's absolutely real. It's all over the culture.
yeah. So like, because I have a because there is this kind of this rah, like just work harder and you'll have it. I'm like, well, so part of being successful is knowing when to say no
Right.
and quit and do something different.
Right.
And it's tough because not everybody has that opportunity. And so it's yeah, and yeah, I don't really have any other than here's some positives that might have it because we're kind of talking about parenting and struggle and all that stuff, and comfort is our problem in the U.S.
It really is.
Things are uncomfortable, and they're going to get more uncomfortable. And
Probably.
so, my positive view on it is, well, in the future, with struggle, we get more character, we get more, you know,
Well, the old saying, good
morals.
times create, soft men create
Bad times,
bad times create hard men,
yeah,
create good times.
we're in the worst part of that cycle.
Yeah, we are. And they, again, I'll probably get comments on the podcast that, ripping me. That's fine. You know, in terms of people, everyone's got an opinion, but my view is that, the pioneering spirit of preparing the way. And I feel like I'm doing that, like, and you're doing that, even with this show. I've had a number of people get back to me, man, when that show you did on reading books, I haven't read a book. I haven't read one book.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you need to be reading as much as you can.
yeah,
And because you talked about worldview, you mentioned worldview. Uh, I bet you if I asked 100 people what their worldview is, 100 people would say, I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah. They're like, this is a weird question. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
they would not understand what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, like your perception on what, oh, this is life.
Right.
Because like when I graduated college, my whole life been football. I moved to Omaha,
Yeah.
and the girl I thought I was gonna marry,
Yeah.
that didn't work out.
Right.
Like, so I lost that part of my identity. Football was gone. I moved to Nebraska, where in Montana, everyone knew my last name. Either in Fairfield or Butte. You're Workman. You play football. That's my thing. I go to Tech and like, I go to Nebraska and they go, did you play for the Huskers? And I said no, and they go, we don't care.
Right.
You're not a Husker.
Well, I never even
And
thought about that for you. So really leaving Montana, because I always say young people don't leave Montana well. They always get off somewhere and dream about coming home because it's so different. Everywhere else is so different than here, right?
1000%.
And Fairfield creates an environment, again, I'm not trying to blow smoke about Fairfield, but it's a unique place in the world and it creates an environment for young people in the school and everything. They go the extra mile.
It was a phenomenal place to grow up.
They make gift bags for the other teams.
Well, just because when
We should be conquering and dominating.
we did conquer and dominate.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why we always put Kleenex in the boxes.
Yeah, so
you
we
know?
wanted them to feel really good
Yeah,
about
so you could
themselves.
cry yourself to sleep tonight, you losers.
Oh, yeah. Now we're getting to the truth of this podcast.
You know.
Yeah, conquer.
Yeah.
But the truth of it is that it was amazing. So you leave Montana and you go to Nebraska, and I guess as a dad, I never thought about it really. It's like you were on your own.
Oh, it was terrible. And, like, I had to get a smartphone real quick because I couldn't drive anywhere. I was terrified. Like, there's so many people compared to what I
Oh,
usually driving. The next person in front of me in Montana is like 3 miles. And I'm like, there's a lot of traffic on the
oh, you can see them. I got to go towards that mountain.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic today.
Right.
I got in Nebraska and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, it's on the corner of 144th and Maple. And I go, huh, what?
Yeah.
You know, so I had to like get a smartphone, which I didn't have at the time. I spending all my money flying back to see my girlfriend because that relationship wasn't doing well.
Sure.
And so I had no money. So I got stole my furniture, didn't steal, but in my apartment complex, people would leave their furniture. And so the apartment complex would just throw the furniture in the dumpster.
Oh my gosh.
So all my furniture was out of the dumpster. And then I bought a mattress. And so I slept on the mattress and the floor. And then I had an entertainment center I got out of the trash can and I lugged it up. And it was one of those
But you
L-shaped
had
ones.
money, didn't you?
No, I spent all my money on plane tickets on a
Oh.
failing relationship
Oh, okay.
because I didn't have any friends there, didn't know anybody. And then also table that up with I graduated electrical engineering. I think I'm smart. You start your first job, anyone will tell you, you don't know anything.
No.
You are an idiot.
Yeah.
And so I'm terrible at my job. My relationships failed. My identity's gone. And now I'm sitting here in an apartment by myself when in the middle of a town where it doesn't have mountains. So it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me,
Yeah.
because of this love relationship we have with the state of Montana. And like, I think my analogy, I think I said it to you yesterday at breakfast, where I was like, I think I figured out Montana thing because there's other than Texas, most like you come to this house, everyone's house here has a picture of Montana on the wall or cups that say Montana or a shirt that says Montana. Everyone loves the state here. And I think it's kind of like a bad relationship where there's really high highs. And then Montana, when it's minus 20, there's really low lows, but you remember the highs. And then Nebraska is like a good, solid relationship that's kind of boring, but good for you. And that's why I still live there. But it's just different where like they don't have that state love that Montana has.
Yeah, you've done a good job though in Nebraska. You raised your family, your home, the whole thing. It's been a blessing life there.
Yeah, for sure. But the start of it, I was 100% planning. I was like, I'm going to make it 1 year and I'm leaving. And the reason it was going to be 1 year is because my company gave me a bonus of $3,000. And I was like, that's so much money. I couldn't possibly pay that back. Because if I left first year, I'd have to pay it back.
It's
I can't
nothing.
pay them $3,000.
I'd be like,
I was like, I can't pay them back $3,000. That's so much money. I'm going to have to sit here for a year. And then at the end of that year, I was like, well, what would I go back to? I don't own a farm.
no.
I don't have anything. Can't afford a home.
Yeah,
So
that was probably one of the mistakes I made as a leader of the house, in the sense of we kind of got there in 94 and Rob had just passed. You knew that was kind of most of the motive actually to leave Hamilton and go over there. But there was a point that I reached, 6, 8 years in that I'm telling Kathy, all my work is all over the country. My trucking, my log home builders. I had 1,200 builders in my program. I was selling to Cabela's, Bass Pro, all my logs, all that kind of stuff was everywhere else. So nothing was happening in Montana. Never did, actually, never has. I've made all my career and income and business decisions based on the rest of the country. And in some ways, I was living in Fairfield, and many times I would say, if we're here in 5 years, we're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's hard to pull out and leave.
Yeah.
It's so hard to move, and you lose your network, you lose all kinds of things. But at the same time, there's a point where even I would say I was stuck. I use that word all the time. We've settled.
Mm-hmm.
We're stuck. I'm young. I'm working all over the country. I have nothing to do with this area. I'm not a farmer. I have no attachment to the land. I go to have conversations anywhere in town, and it's, how you guys doing? Oh, the ground's really mellow. It's taking seed pretty good. We need to burn. It's all farming and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that, but that wasn't my world, and I didn't have that connection.
Mm-hmm.
The connection I had was, I was allowed to coach basketball, and then I knew you guys were growing up in just this last thing that existed.
Yeah.
Honestly, I knew that in my heart as a dad. I'm like, there's nowhere we're going that's
Yeah.
gonna have
Yeah, you
this.
don't realize you don't realize they're the good old days until they're gone.
Yeah,
And, it's interesting because, like, obviously, I'm homeschooling my kids,
yeah,
but, like, having them grow up in Omaha is a completely different deal than
yeah.
growing up where we did.
No, Omaha has showed its colors just as a from a distance because I you shared stuff, and I can't even imagine submitting. I'm glad as a grandfather that you're not submitting your children to that. And then
The
I got
school
crew
system, you
coming
mean?
up telling me, "Grandpa, do you know what a dodecahedron is?"
Yeah,
You know, a 12-sided sphere, and you're just looking at him like, "How old are you?"
yeah.
Two and a half.
Then my one-year-old's counting to 20 and
Yeah, yeah,
it's different, because my oldest did the public school thing there,
right,
and, they were the conclusion was, "Oh, he's got a learning disability, we need to drug him.
right,
We need to drug him."
right,
And we're like, "Well, let's just not do that and try something else," and he's a little genius.
right.
So,
He is. He's so intelligent, and he's reading. You know, I mean, you had told me he read like 50 some books in the last some.
he read the entire Hardy Boys series,
That's
which
what it
is
was.
58 books, and now he's reading he's reading the book, The Anxious Generation, about kids his age getting cell phones.
Oh,
So he, like, asked to read that book, and I was like, "It's kind of that wouldn't be the one I'd have picked."
and what's going on there is what we talked about earlier. What's going on there is a worldview is being developed.
Yeah.
That's a worldview piece of the puzzle. That like, okay, I can't be so hooked into technology I have no
Yeah,
relationships.
like, he's actually interested in learning more about it because he's like, All my friends have a cell phone, and I want a cell phone, but whenever we hang out, they don't talk.
Yeah,
No one will talk to me
right,
because I don't have a cell phone, they're all doing that." And he's like, "I don't." He's asking, he's like, "Well," at first, he's like, "I want one so I can fit in,"
right,
because that's always the first thing, and then I was like, "Hey, as soon as you get a cell phone, your childhood is over because 'cause you're getting Library of Alexandria in your hand, you're getting access to all the world's information, and all the world's information is getting access to you, which is really the problem."
really the problem. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
You're
because
the product now.
we are now the product.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very fascinating, and again, you know, I there's no one that has used technology more than me to because I have to work across the globe. I mean, I'm in Turkey and China and crazy stuff that I do, Texas, you know, that kind of thing, and I could not live in Montana without it. At the same time, uh,
Yeah, you're kinda weak, it's okay.
I'm very weak, very, very, very much a soft guy, so
Yeah.
but it is important to embrace technology in the right way is okay.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, well, it's as human beings, really, what do? We make change our environment. Clothes are really a microenvironment
Right,
on our skin, so we've adapted that so we can live where we wanna live, have a microenvironment,
right,
and we make better and better things. That's what we do as a
right,
species.
right,
So
right,
we try to advance the ball even to our own detriment sometimes.
right. But it just seems like this one in the last 20 years, 25 years with the technology, it's creating new problems that no one foresaw, and it's gonna take a couple of generations probably to work through 'em, most likely. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's, you know, you can't solve this in overnight. This is gonna be a cultural rebalancing of, staring at your phone 24/7. There's gonna be a
Mhm.
rebalancing, I think.
Yeah, no, there's gonna be a pullback because 'cause they're gonna reach a line to where we go, "Oh, we're not human anymore," and then we're gonna back up.
Right,
And that's obviously the positive world because, like, hopefully we have the opportunity to back up,
right.
right? We're not plugged into the matrix or something, and now we can't get out,
No, I
you
think
know?
it will rebalance
Yeah.
in my view, you know, and again, it'll return to becoming tools, you know, that are positive rather than, time suckers that destroy relationships.
Mhm.
You know, that's the way I see
Yeah,
it.
I think the most ironic outcome is often the outcome. The most like, we look back and we're like, "Oh, of course,
Right,
never saw that happening,"
right.
you know?
I'm gonna put up a quote here real quick, and then I'd like you to talk about it, and just in terms of the way you see this. No man is free who is not a master of himself. Epictetus. Um, and in terms of the way you've the way you've had to go forward from Omaha and what you're doing now in your work, um, you know, some of the stuff you're into with your work, uh, you're being pulled in very, very hard directions in terms of choices almost from 4 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yeah, because I got a team around the world, and I have to answer their questions. Yeah.
Right. And so you're on different time zones from, you said Poland?
Poland and Milan and all that, yeah,
Yeah.
all over.
So, you know, how do you maintain being a master of yourself
I
if you have outside external forces that are pulling on you in a way that you were actually required to respond to, but at the same time, you're losing the control of your day-to-day life a little bit.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I fail at that all the time. And I think coming down to the number one choice you can make in life, so I always tell my boys who you marry. So I have to give a lot of credit to my wife on that one
Sure.
because she helps center me. Because my go-to is I'm going to work myself to death. I'm going to sacrifice everything to
Yeah.
get this goal accomplished.
Right.
Like I had to sounds dumb, but I had to like redefine my thing of success because I always monitored my success by I got it all done
Gotcha.
and I'm never going to get it all done. And so I was miserable all the time.
No.
And, I had to, like, okay, I had to figure out how to just do your best. And, like, it sounds corny. I'm not wired that way. I'm like, "No, I need to win."
None of us are. Dylan is
I'm
driven.
terrible at it.
He absolutely is difficult on that subject. Um, I'm actually kindly difficult on that subject, meaning I can kind of create a little bit of peaceful charm around being frustrated with something not being done, and just I mean that's why I work alone because I just can't stand something not being done right or whatever.
Yeah, and, like, for me, I have a hard time, unplugging and, like, actually enjoying the good times that I've earned,
Yeah,
like Christmas or birthdays or a day off.
yeah,
I have a hard time enjoying that because I
yeah,
feel like I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
I'm not
I had 2
getting it
decades of
done."
that. I'm still that way, actually. I can't stand weekends. I hate Fridays because I know the weekend's coming, and then on Saturday and Sunday, I'm thinking about Monday.
Yeah, but when
I
we
don't like it.
yeah, but then we look back 20 years later and we go, "What I missed out on enjoy," because, like, I like working, but, like, I notice with my kids' lives, I have to my wife has to get after me sometimes to, like, remind me, like, "Hey, like, it's Sunday afternoon. Like, just enjoy the afternoon, take a nap,
Right.
like, just relax,"
No,
you know?
I think that's something that I don't know where it comes from. I've had other total people have said something about it to me, and about you guys, and I mean, they talk about it, and mom's very driven to like she's cannot sit still, cannot,
No.
as I get older, I'm getting better at that, but I know for at least 20, 25 years, I was just like thinking about the next thing I need to get done on Monday morning or
Yeah,
whatever.
when I'm working, I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait till next week. I got a couple days off. That'd be nice."
Yeah,
But when I'm in that moment, I'm miserable because 'cause I'm not working.
right.
So I've set myself up to be miserable all the time.
So the
So
mastering of yourself in that area is just making borders,
it
setting
setting
boundaries.
for me, it's setting boundaries and then constantly understanding you're never gonna get it all done
Oh,
and you're not a finished work.
that makes sense.
Like, just keep going. And
Right.
because everyone's like, "Oh, once I get the answer, I'm gonna perfect myself." I'm like, "No. Who you are at 35 is a lot different than who you are at 20."
100%.
Right?
Oh my
So,
gosh.
when you get to 30, you have kinda 2 options. You either are an underlived, skilled 30-year-old or an overlived, unskilled 30-year-old. And you
Okay.
kinda have to make a decision on that at some point in time, like, "Hey, I partied my butt off in 20s. It was great, loved it. Now I don't have any idea. I have no life skills."
Right.
Right? Or the alternative to where you're like, "Hey, I did a little bit, but you know, I worked my butt off in my
Right.
20s, and now I have skills." So it's you have to how you start is kinda where you start the race is important too, but, yeah, you're never done.
No.
So that's my answer to that is you're never done.
No. And you got as soon as you know that, then the pressure's kinda off because I'm never gonna get done. I'll just work it'll be there again tomorrow, so just cool your jets, right?
Yeah, I still itch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still, I'm
Yeah.
still because like this is the last day of my vacation when we're filming this,
Right.
and so I'm thinking about tomorrow already.
Sure you
So
are.
I'm like okay,
Yeah, we I everyone says you don't have hobbies, you don't golf, and I said, "Oh my gosh, how boring. What the heck are you talking?" I love building projects, working with people, solve I mean, I this is my hobby,
hmm
and I've been very blessed by it. Had the few dark years from the 2008, 2014, just, right when you started college, and
Yeah.
Dylan too. And I mean, it was, again, that comfort thing. I had never known lack. Everything I touched was golden.
Mhm.
I mean, high school, college, basketball, sports, anything I ever touched was a solid gold bar. Everything, 20s, 30s. I mean, it was success in every direction. Then 2008 hits, and I'm like, I'm walking around with shame, like, what did I miss? You
Mhm.
know, I was blaming myself, and I'm realizing it's a whole world thing. Lehman Brothers,
Yeah.
Brown Bear Stearns, and all the things that happened, and all the projects pulled, and not sold nothing for 2 years. And you're starting college in the fall of 2009, and I'm like, I'm just got hammered for a large deal, and I really took a beating psychologically. I was probably clinically depressed, to be honest with you, but, it really was, consistency. It's funny the word you said, consistently going to work every day and working and doing what I could, and we got to the end of that. We took no loans for college, paid cash for everything. We owned you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
basically got out of debt on all those years, and took no it's a miracle.
Yeah. I had to gain a bunch of weight to play college football, so I had to eat a lot.
Right.
I lived off $175, that's including rent, a month,
That's crazy to me.
and I figured out how to get food.
I don't know. You you
Let's just say I had some friends in the lunch line.
you it
Like,
just it makes me
I
sad to hear
I
you
had
say that.
I had some cooks that would leave the back door open, and I had this big old thing. I get hash browns and eggs, and they'd make me a mix of in this bundle every morning. I'd sneak in the
I
back and
didn't
grab it.
know that at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you did. I was asking you for cash every other week,
Yeah, but
and you're like, "No, because 'cause
no,
I'm a good parent."
Mom and I got our own tune in those years,
Yeah, it was
and
rough.
it's changed the way we live.
No, 1,000%.
It's changed the way we make decisions. I always say I don't want anything. I don't desire anything. I don't think about having anything. I would probably end up with like 2 shirts, a pair of jeans, and some shoes at the end of the day if mom wasn't existing in my life.
Yeah.
I literally have no desires.
Yeah. No, you 2 balance each other well because mom doesn't wanna get rid of very much.
No, she's a hoarder a little bit on some sentimental things, and then but she's made my life better in that sense because I don't know what my life would look like if I with this attitude I have,
Yeah.
and, I want no attention, I wanna be invisible, it sounds so crazy, but it's the best way to be for peace, I think, because you start declaring from the rooftops or, whatever you wanna be seen and get recognition,
Oh.
you will get the attention you want.
And then so that's another thing. So on your quote, another lesson I've learned is if you're trying to better yourself, your friend group is going to get small.
Meaning,
Most people don't want you to better themselves
because they think you're gonna move beyond them?
because you do. So yeah, so it's an awkward position. So every guy kind of goes through this when you change or whatever, and you're like, hey, I'm not going to go out and go drinking this weekend.
Oh,
I'm gonna stay in. You've changed, man. You're different.
right,
And there's a friendless zone because you haven't had time to really develop a new community with who you are, but you also don't belong with your old one.
right,
And so it's an awkward place
right,
where of loneliness that you kind of have to go through too if you're trying to benefit, work on perfecting yourself.
right,
So it's definitely the harder thing. So you're socially ostracized. It's also the harder thing to do because you're putting effort into changing your wiring,
right.
and then you know you also have to go through a batch of loneliness.
Yeah, I think that's true, but I think those are shaping moments that are good, and at the end of the day, you find out you have this is what is everyone it's an old saying, everyone says you can count all your friends on your hand, it's the truth. At the end of the day, there's 5 or 6 close, and I'm talking outside the family,
Yep.
friends that you can just not see him for years. Like I always talk about Joel, I might not see him 4 or 5 years, but I can walk into that deal. We were right where we left off.
Yeah.
Nothing has
Yeah. My,
changed.
my high school buddies are like that, where I'm like, because I obviously live somewhere else,
Right.
but like when I come back, yeah,
Yeah, you don't have to have
they're
constant
great.
contact to maintain a relationship. It's really something that has occurred at the core of who you are. There's a like-mindedness that goes the distance.
Yeah.
Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, so well, again, as we wrap this up, hit the subscribe and like. And Jacob, do you have one word of wisdom that you wanna leave everybody with, what would one thing you would tell crew to help crew be a better human? Your 3-year-old, 4-year-old.
Like one word of advice,
Just yeah, what
like
would
the
you
most important one.
yeah, crew, because crew is a sponge. He'll repeat it for 20 years.
If I had to choose one thing to imprint on him, it sounds corny, but choose your wife wisely.
Yeah.
Number one thing that'll ruin your life. I got a great one, so I'm good. But like I have a lot of buddies. I'm like, and it doesn't matter how if you don't have a partner in life that's gonna tell you when you're wrong, support you when you're right. Like it's very very difficult to do anything else. You can't do it alone. So
I
pick a
actually
good
don't
partner.
think men can operate very well, without the support of, like, disrespect. I'm very sensitive to disrespect. I will pop off hard if I'm feeling like, even with Kathy, if I feel like I'm, and she goes, "Where'd that come from?" Because you've been making jokes about me publicly, whatever,
Yeah,
and whatever I do. But the thing of it is the fact that I can count on her being in my corner keeps me going.
yeah,
100%. And the natural friction that occurs in marriages is not marriage problems. That's another thing that ticks me off as well. We have marriage problems. No, that's just natural
no,
friction.
you're living with another person in a building.
Yeah,
Like that's hard
exactly.
to
That's just
yeah.
what happens. You fold towels differently than the next one, or you don't load the dishwasher just right, or all these little frictions that show up are not marriage problems.
No,
And that those are frictions that you just grace each other with and move on.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But the deal of it is though it is absolutely a critical decision. And um, there's the old saying, you hit the lottery. I always, people say that about them, they hit the lottery, and I can honestly say I did. You know, um, Kathy and I just came from totally different worlds in many ways, from Cleveland, Ohio,
hmm
essentially, to her. She had a phone out in the middle of nowhere on a party line, living in the forest, kind of an interesting childhood
hmm
she had,
yeah,
and, we've been incredibly blessed. Really, we had 4 or 5 or 6 years of just getting our butt handed to us
hmm
out of, 37 years,
yeah.
so that's a pretty good track record.
Pretty good track.
Yeah, and again, life's tough, and it's gonna keep coming. Rest of my life, that life's gonna keep coming at me,
hmm
and you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and that's the one thing you always assume it's gonna get easier. It's like, no,
no, I think it keeps coming.
it keeps coming. Like, yeah, you get better at one thing, well, that just gives you more capacity to handle more,
No,
and it's just more. Yeah, it's a lot.
that's right. Well, thanks for joining us today. We just appreciate Jacob joining me. What a great conversation with him. It makes it a lot of fun for me. And, again, if you enjoy this, and, uh, again, I'm really kind of doing more of the oil field and, technology, AI, that kind of stuff, the people I like to interview. But, this one's kinda off the shelf in the way we did it, but, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thank you for coming.
No problem.
It was really great. So, if you can, subscribe and like, that'd be great. Helps the show and moves us on. Thanks a lot for joining us. Have a good one.